Welcome back, guys. Welcome to another episode of Just Your Average Sports Fans. I'm here joined today by Uday Kishore,
Thank you,
and
thank you. I'm
today
excited to be back again.
we're
I
going
think
to
it's our
make,
first stretch going 4 episodes in a row. Is that
yeah,
right?
I mean, new strategies worked out really well, man. Like it's shorter videos, easier to edit, and we're getting it out a lot quicker. So it's working. It's working.
It's working. I like it. We got to keep it going.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna change the structure up a little bit. But we'll talk about it at the end after our picks. But Nathan, talk
hmm
about last week's picks.
Yeah, so we actually had a really good week, man. We went 3-1, which for a wild card weekend is pretty damn good, I'd say.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I'll go over the my bets that hit. So Cleveland +6. Uh, I would be a liar if I said I wasn't surprised by how Cleveland won. They completely blew the brakes off of Pittsburgh. I think what Juju said and what others on that team had to say had a little bit to do with that. So yeah, that was a good bet. Cleveland +6, and then Baltimore -175. I'm probably the most proud of that one just because I called that a year ago and it happened.
And that
And for the
actually happened.
exact same reasons I said John Harbaugh would not allow it to happen. Lamar was hungry for a playoff win. So
No,
I
I
called
agree. I
those
agree.
two
Loved
factors.
it.
hmm
So my picks were Tampa Bay money line at -400. Pretty easy. Shout out to Taylor Heineke,
The GOAT.
for the GOAT who was dropping dimes. He played really well. And funny thing is, he actually was supposed to be taking his finals during that week, but he had
Oh
to
yeah.
email his professors to push them
hmm
back. So we wish him a very good luck on those finals.
I hope he doesn't have a
And
take on
our one
ever
bet that
again.
didn't hit
hmm
was Rams versus Seahawks under 42. I'll be honestly a little bit surprised. 30-20 was the final score, so shocked that one didn't hit. Started off really well, and then just like mental mistakes by Russell Wilson. And then I guess Jared Goff decided to be more confident.
Be more confident. Be
Get
less
more
trash.
confidence. So yeah, so that was a little bit surprising, but 3-1, we're progressing, we're doing better than, and our
hmm
overall record is above 500, so that's all that matters.
7-5. So not bad.
That is a profit.
Pretty solid. That is a profit. That is profit for anyone who's been keeping tabs.
All right, Nathan's, let's go into this week's picks.
Oh, yes. Okay. So for my first pick, I got Buffalo -140 against Baltimore. And the thing that sucks about divisional weekend is when you look at every matchup, it's so hard to make bets just because like the margin of difference between teams gets thinner and thinner. So I got
Mhm.
Buffalo for a couple of reasons. I think they did a good job against the Colts defense. Granted, the Colts defense, their pass defense is somewhat mediocre, but they are ninth in the league in interceptions, so they're not terrible on pass defense. I thought they did a good job. And then in that game, there was the emergence of Gabriel Davis as a very solid third option. And for any of you guys who don't know who he is, he was the guy in that game who caught those two toe drag catches against the Colts that were
He's the guy who played
insane.
very well and was
Yeah,
not named Stephon Diggs.
exactly. And he had 4 receptions for 85 yards. So I think with his emergence, that's a very potent offense going into this game. And then really only one other main reason because I think everywhere else, if you look at defense offense matchups, it's pretty much a wash. It's predicted to snow, and
Yes.
Lamar has never played a game in snow before. Which I mean, you'd think he's an NFL quarterback, it's not that big of a deal, but for a guy who's never played in snow in his collegiate career, NFL career this long,
And
it's gonna
even
be
high
tough.
school.
In high school too.
Yeah,
He
and
grew up in the South, yeah. And so
the
with that,
thing
it's gonna be
about
tough.
that is it makes them one-dimensional and more like featured as a running team because it's a
hmm
lot easier to run in snow than throw in snow,
hmm
which he's really comfortable with.
hmm
So I think playing in snow is gonna hurt him because he's never played in snow. But
hmm
that'd be like interesting to look at, like how does his running do in the snow?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, granted, I know Baltimore does have a very good run attack, but I think they're going to have to throw the ball sometimes. Otherwise, if they're only running the ball, obviously, Buffalo's going to be
Yeah,
able to
obviously it's
cover
not gonna
that,
work out. But
right? They're
yeah,
going to
I
have to throw the
agree.
ball
I
once in
like
a
that
while,
pick.
and mhm.
What's your other pick?
Then we got this one. This one's going to ruffle some feathers. I got Tampa +140 against New Orleans, and I'm not going to lie. Logically speaking, maybe not the most logical pick, but it is the playoffs, and there's usually one game every weekend during the playoffs that no one really sees coming. I think this game could be that game for a couple of reasons. Uh, First and foremost, Ali Marpet is coming back. He's the Bucks' second best offensive lineman. I think that's huge, and I understand Trey Hendrickson is also coming back for the Saints. But I think with him and Tristan Wirfs on the same line together, and with the chemistry this team has really shown the past couple weeks, I think their O line does a much better job protecting Tom Brady. Not only that, but a lot of people will point to their last regular season matchup and say, "Oh, but look, the Saints basically beat the living breaks off of Tampa Bay," which is a fact.
That is
But
true.
if you look at that game, there's a lot of questionable coaching, a lot of routes that Tom Brady's not used to, a lot of bad play calling in general, and overall just like a horrible game plan for a team like the Saints coached by a coach such as Sean Payton. So I think Tampa comes out much better. Um, and not gonna lie, based on what I saw last week against the Bears, I was genuinely not that impressed with New Orleans. I thought they should have scored way more points,
They
given that they
should
had
have.
Alvin Kamara back and Michael Thomas back, and their margin of victory should have been much better. And like beating a Bears team with Mitchell Trubisky like that was not very impressive in my eyes.
Exactly. I mean, like the first half, the Bears defense played very well. So, I mean, I can understand why the Saints might not have scored more than 7 points. But the second half, the Saints got bailed out by so many neutral zone infractions and offsides on the defense, which is just
Hmm.
horrible coaching on Chuck Pagano's part. And also like just poor tackling. The second half, the Bears defense looked like they just gave up.
Hmm.
And they were really just trying to get out of the half, I guess. But like they were missing tackles, not making plays that they should have. And really, and the Saints are only able to score 14 points off of that.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not too impressed. And also, one thing that I think you're going to mention, but just in case you don't,
Hmm.
Drew Brees isn't that mobile. And
Yeah.
I know Taylor, like a lot of people think the Bucks defense isn't that good because Taylor Heineke was just he is like a third string practice squad guy who just went off in
Hmm.
against that game. But he's a mobile guy. He was dropping dimes that game too, but he's a mobile guy, which I think helped out the Redskins offense a lot.
Hmm.
And but Drew Brees is not mobile. He's like 41 years old, has never been known for his mobility. He's obviously a great pocket passer, but he's going to have to scramble a lot in this game or extend plays.
Hmm.
And against the Bears, he never did that, was throwing it into the ground quite a bit. So, I mean, I agree. I actually
Hmm.
do really like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at plus
And one more
140.
point I'd like to add: Devin White's coming back with him and Levante David, alongside the fact that they play in the Todd Bowles defense that is number one in blitzing the quarterback. I think Drew Brees is not going to be good at trying to escape too much pressure. So I'm not saying it'll be a blowout. I think it'll be a very close game, but I could see Tampa Bay taking this and taking the odds at plus 140.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. So for my picks this week, I really like Rams plus 6.5.
Hmm.
For multiple reasons, I just think the Rams defense is just insanely good.
Hmm.
And I think we're all, as all football players, are really excited to see Jalen Ramsey against Devontae Adams.
Oh God, as a Packers fan,
That's going to be a great
yeah.
matchup to see.
Hmm.
Um, and see, my only concern is if Devontae Adams is kind of locked up,
Hmm.
then what's Aaron Rodgers gonna do? I mean, not saying like Aaron Rodgers is gonna play bad, but
Hmm.
against the Panthers, Devontae Adams only had 7 catches for 42 yards,
Hmm.
and I believe the Packers only scored 24 points against the
That's true.
Panthers. So
I
I
mean,
mean,
our
like,
play calling that game was kind of questionable in the second half, but yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
I agree. I
Hmm.
agree. I watched that game. So I mean, I'm just thinking like Robert Tanyan is a great tight end, and not great, but he is good tight end. Deserved to be in the Pro Bowl. Aaron Jones is going to be good, but just the fact that there's no second wide receiver, true second wide receiver on the Packers is like one of the things that might hurt them on offense. The other thing
Hmm.
is Aaron Donald. So I mean, I'm gonna take Aaron Donald over the Packers O line any day.
Yeah, especially.
Aaron Donald, and Leonard Floyd. So
Hmm.
I'm taking that. Just based off the Rams defense, I
Hmm.
really like them to cover, and also Jared Goff. So one thing that I found was super interesting is that
Hmm.
in Jared Goff's last regular season game, it was against the Seahawks, and his passer rating in that game was only 60, 62. But then against in the playoffs, like he wasn't anything. He wasn't great or anything, but his passer rating was 93. Threw a touchdown. I mean, and he won the game on the road against the Seahawks. Like that is just a confidence booster, and
Hmm.
that's what he's been lacking the past few weeks. So I really like Jared Goff right now. His confidence, Cam Akers, Sean McVay's play calling. I feel like it seems like I'm hyping up the Rams a lot. But the reason why I'm not taking the Rams money line is because you
Hmm.
never count out Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers single handedly um, is just you can't count him out. I think he's the reason why the Packers have the edge in this game. Packers also do have home field advantage. They're playing in cold weather as compared to California weather. So I
Hmm.
think that also helps out the Packers as well.
Hmm.
But I do not think I think this is a closer game than
Hmm.
what the experts have it at right now.
That's fair. I agree with that. Yeah, I think Rams do cover. I think the Packers end up winning. I think Jared Goff's thumb is huge because he was playing in warmer weather last time. But
Hmm.
given that, I think he just had either he had pins added or taken out, whatever it is. His thumb's like kind of fresh right now. In the cold weather, he's not going to be able to bend it and move it as much. His grip on the ball is going to be much more questionable. And I don't know if John Wolford's coming back or not,
No,
but I'm
he's
assuming
been ruled
not.
out.
Right, because that hit was nasty by Jamal Adams. That was a
Yeah,
dirty hit, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, with that, I just think the Packers do win, but I do think the Rams defense needs respect. I think clearly they got it after last week. I think Aaron Donald probably blows through and gets to Aaron Rodgers a couple times. I would say our offensive line is still one of the best in the league. We lost David Bakhtiari, which for this matchup was probably the worst case scenario.
exactly.
Um,
And Jared Velda here, who the Packers picked up last
COVID
week,
list, yeah,
he's on the COVID list, so it's gonna be
tough
interesting.
loss.
But you
Hmm.
never count out Aaron Rodgers, and LaFleur knows how to play to Rodgers' strengths now.
Hmm.
So I mean, offensively, it'll be a good game. I'm just worried about. I'm not really necessarily worried. I agree with you. I think Packers win. Just it's just gonna be a close game.
I think if there's one guy who needs to step up to ensure that Green Bay wins, it's probably Alan Lazard. I think if he can step up and get those open grabs that Devontae's not going to get, because I guarantee you that Jalen Ramsey's going to shut down Devontae to a certain extent at the very least.
I
He's going
agree.
to be that guy who's going to have to be the step up and be the X factor, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. So our next pick or my next pick is Cleveland at +10. I just think that's ridiculous how they're at +10.
Agreed.
While I do agree that the Chiefs offense is insane with Patrick Mahomes,
Hmm.
and Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid calling the plays. First off, what they did without Kevin Stefanski last week against the Steelers defense was very impressive.
Impressive.
I just thought that was insane. They're playing with so much confidence right now. They're getting Kevin Stefanski back, so I really like the Browns in this one.
Hmm.
Browns' run game is really good. I'm not really entirely too sure about the Chiefs' run game, so I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. And also, one fun fact is that the Chiefs during the regular season have been horrible against the spread. They have not covered in most, if damn near all of their games. So that's why I think, and +10 is pretty easy for the Browns to cover. So yeah, I think +10 is pretty easy for them to cover.
Hmm. I agree. Yeah, Kansas City's secondary is pretty questionable. The Browns have easily, I think, the best running attack in all of football with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I think that plays to their favor because the best way to beat the Chiefs or get close to beating them is to keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. And the way to do that on offense is to have an excellent running attack to control the clock and score slowly but surely, which I think the Browns have the right recipe for. So I agree. I think +10 is way. I think that's just like underestimating Cleveland. Like if they did all of this against the Steelers without their head coach and a
Without their
good
play
chunk,
caller too, like
yeah,
fancy calls the plays.
yeah, I think they cover the spread easily against the Chiefs. No questions asked.
I agree. So as we've been doing the past few weeks, we've been doing parlays. So this week's parlays odds are at +1402. So if you were to put down $5, you're gonna win $70.09. So better than last week's. Um, but our new structure that I kind of mentioned at the beginning is that instead of doing a parlay, because last week's parlay lost because of one leg. What we want to do is do single bets, but we're going to stack our single bets based on which one we're most confident in. So correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan, but our most
Mhm.
confident bet is the Bills money line at -140.
Yep.
Okay, so based on that, we're gonna put down $8 and we're gonna win 571. And then our
Mhm.
next confident,
The Rams covering.
yeah. So if Rams cover at so we'd put down $5 for the second most to cover, you'd win 476. And then our third most confident, we're gonna put down on the Browns for $4, and we'll win 348. And then our least most confident is the Buccaneers, and then we're gonna put down $3 to win $4.20.